With us here we have Immunicum online for an interview, and we have the COO, Saime. Pleasure of having you to do this interview.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
As a first question, maybe for people new to Immunicum, what do you do?
Yeah, so Immunicum is a clinical stage biotech company, which means that we are developing medicines based on the biology of the human. And specifically in our case, we are using immune cells from a healthy donor to treat patients with cancer. And that's currently in phase 2 of development, so relatively advanced for different types of solid tumor cancer indications.
And for about a month ago, you were granted the RMAT designation from the FDA. Do you think you can walk us through what this means and what will it mean in the end for you as a company?
Yeah, absolutely. We get a lot of questions about that because, of course, it's quite a mouthful, the Regenerative Medicine Advanced Therapy designation from the FDA. However, it's very similar to an earlier program that they initiated about 7 years ago, which is the Breakthrough Therapy designation. And both programs are the same in helping therapies that the FDA think are very interesting and have encouraging clinical data to give them more support on getting these therapies to the market as soon as possible. Usually the dialogue with these authorities are very formal and you can only ask for yes and no questions. But now we will have more of a dialogue and you can have, for example, up to 6 meetings per year where you really discuss with them how we can design our next study in a way that they would accept it for market approval, if of course the study is positive. So that's in short what it can mean to us to really make sure that the next step in development is as successful as possible.
And if we look at the COVID-19, and we've heard other companies having trouble with the patient recruitment and so forth, what can you see from Immunicum side?
Yeah, I think we are relatively fortunate. I must say that crucial care and often cancer is part of that is still maintained at most hospitals, even if they're overwhelmed by the coronavirus. In our case, we have, of course, already completed the phase 2 study where we're only following patients for survival. So that luckily is not impaired by, for example, the patients not being able to get care from the hospital. In terms of the Iliad study, we know that there are sites that are more overwhelmed, for example, with the virus situation. However, because the study is mostly in the US, I must say that it is a more diluted problem there. Some have very big issues, some areas actually don't have a lot of issues. So we must say for our ongoing study, we see very limited impact of the virus. And then in general, I think for us as a company, we were working already very virtual with people in different locations. We only work with international companies, clinical research organizations, investigators. So everything was already more or less done by teleconference and Zoom and Teams. So I must say that hasn't really changed. So I think we're relatively stable. Also from a financial perspective, the markets are of course going a bit up and down, but luckily we've been able to complete a relatively good financing round a while back that allows us to go also through this phase without much issues.
And maybe if we could stay a bit at the Iliad study, which is a 1B/2. What's the timeline for that, and when can we see some result as investors that we can look at?
Yeah, so we are currently in the staggered phase, which means you really have to treat one patient, wait for the safety period to be completed, and then you're allowed to go to the next patient. We have the next safety update scheduled at the end of Q2. So that's of course soon, as you know. And then we can give an update on moving to the non-staggered phase. And also then really the timelines become much more predictable because we can start treating patients at the same time. So then the remaining 15 patients that we still have to treat in phase 1 should come a lot quicker, and then we can give a timeline on the next step. So for now, it's the end of Q2 is the next update that we can give, purely on safety, I have to say, and then we move to the phase where we hopefully can treat a lot more patients and of course start following them for a longer duration to see perhaps signs of efficacy. I
see. A final question or discussion will be about the management situation, where you currently have an acting CEO, and you have your released that your CFO will leave. You have a new chief medical officer. Do you see any risk in all these management changes coming up right now?
Yeah, no, very good question. There's of course a number of changes happening. Let's start with the CMO. I think we were fortunate that the CMO was of course rejoining us. So we have already worked with him for about 4 years, and he had to go to another company more for a personal situation. But now he's happy to be coming back, and that makes working very easy. On the CEO situation, we have, I would say, luckily the acting CEO is the founder of the company, Alex Kalsampara. He's of course the scientist and the inventor of technology, but has also seen Immunicum from 2002 through all the development, the stability in the company. I'm also trying to help out, of course, where I can. And then I can tell you that in terms of finding a permanent CEO position, that's also moving forward. So I don't, I think we're relatively stable through this situation. Also for the CFO, shouldn't forget, we've been able to attract a very good interim CFO, Peter Hein, and he's been handling now the finances together with Michaela, who's leaving us for a number of weeks already. So that gives a very stable transfer of that part of the management as well.
Thank you very much. I think we lost you for quite a few seconds there. It was technical issues, but all in all, thank you for great answers, and good luck in the future.
Okay, thank you.